So, first phrase, Sicut Rosa inter spinas, is the first phrase. And where is our first cadence?
Second system.
Yes. I mean, at the beginning here.
Yes.
So
yes. Second measure.
Yeah, because there's another.
First and second.
There's another thing here. Exactly. So from the beginning we have the double counterpoint. We talked before. The first line is entirely based on double counterpoint, where the tenor has this hexachord. Actually, is one melody within the hexachord. If you notice, do re mi fa sol mi la sol mi la sol fa mi, the same an octave down, and then the other counterpoint, invertible counterpoint at the 12th, because sol do from G to C and sol do from D to G. Okay. After this, another thing which is very interesting is a kind of imitation with contrary motion of this, for example. So it's another interesting thing. Then re mi fa, even this re mi fa can be sol fa mi, re mi fa. Yes, it's another. Yes. Wait, I'm reading with the tenor clef. This is G ut. So ut re mi fa sol. So, but if we read it this way, it's something which it recalls the beginning or a contrary motion in the imitation. By the way, sol fa mi fa mi re. So we have a cadence to D here. Now, we have actually a big range to even consider what can be the ambitus of the tenor. So
yes, I was telling this to myself. The tenor has a very big ambitus.
Yeah, but which is the most important ambitus? Because the final note is G sol re ut. So the main question, if the final note is G sol re ut, the main question is this an octavus or a septimus tonus? How to recognize the ambitus based on this element? Actually, the answer is very simple. G is part of adiapente or adiatessaron. So the fact that we have a cadence to the lower G, to the lower D, and not to the higher D, but we reach the higher D, is an indication of this ambitus, which is an ambitus plagalis of the tenor.
Plagalis, yes.
Which means that the bassus will probably stay in an ambitus which is the authenticus, so the opposite. And for this reason, the tenor is the leader. And is this the septimus modus or tonus authenticus, or the septimus or the octavus plagalis?
Tenor is octavus plagalis.
Exactly. Based on these elements, this is an octavus tonus. Even because a cadence to D in this position, okay, it's very different from a cadence to D here, because this is the cadence to D that we have. No, this is a G. I mean, to D. This is a cadence to D which is very typical of the septimus tonus. Why? Because the septimus tonus can go higher, up to this G, while does not have this D in the lower part, in the pars remissa. Do you know the term? What point have you arrived in the Cantus Firmus level?
In the I'm chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
Learning about imperfectus and perfectus.
Exactly. So you know about the pars intensa of a melody.
Yes.
Intensa and the pars remissa. Okay. The cadence to D in the pars remissa of an ambitus here, it's very idiomatic of the tonus plagalis. Okay. So a cadence to D here and a cadence to D here, they are not the same thing. They are two different things in this context, in the Renaissance. In the Baroque, you don't care about this. But in the Renaissance counterpoint, it's very different. Okay. So the first cadence is to the lower D, the D of the diatessaron, sol fa mi re. Diatessaron. So tell me what are the species. So here we have what species of the diapente?
Diapente, so ut, re, mi, fa, sol. It's
Yeah. Yes. Say it.
four.
Fourth species of the
Four.
diapente.
Yes.
And the diatessaron was the species? First species. Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
To be very precise, you should sing in the opposite direction, because this is a modus plagalis. So
Yes.
sol fa mi re do and sol fa mi re. Okay.
Sol fa mi re
Do.
but no, with solmization.
Yes.
Sol fa mi.
No. I mean, don't do mutations here. Stay. So sing the diapente and the diatessaron.
So sol fa mi re do, sol fa mi re.
Yes. Then I agree with you that if you want to sing the a descending scale, I'll do sol fa mi la, sol fa mi re.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. But in order to identify the diapente and the diatessaron, we do sol fa mi re do, sol fa mi re. Okay.
Yes.
In fact, the other day, a guy on Discord. Now I show you this message on the public Discord on our server. Brought this thing, which is totally wrong. I mean, it can be understood from a modal point of view. Here, he's asking question. Dorian, re mi fa sol re mi fa sol. Phrygian, mi fa sol re mi fa sol la. Okay. Lydian, fa sol re mi fa re mi fa. Mixolydian, ut re mi fa sol re mi fa sol. Ut re mi fa re mi fa sol. Aeolian, re mi fa sol re mi fa sol la. Ionian, ut re mi fa sol re mi fa. First of all, Aeolian and Ionian aren't modes which are important in Cantus Firmus, because these modes are called toni irregolari, so irregular tones, first of all. But then you cannot base the distinction between all the modes or toni or tones on scales, because his question is, how does the solmization of but how about the Locrian? The Locrian, it does not exist, because if you conceive the species, it cannot exist. I mean, the Locrian would imply a species of diapente which is an imperfect fifth, mi fa re mi fa, plus the augmented fourth, mi fa sol re mi, but so with the harmonic division of the diapason 5 plus 4. But mi la sol fa mi plus la sol fa mi is the quartus tonus. So this way of conceiving modes, which can be good for jazz and modern music, is totally wrong for Renaissance music. I mean, it's impossible to understand Renaissance music based on scales. It's another thing.
Yes, we must conceive species.
Exactly.
So once species of the diatessaron and diapente.
Yes, they are the species.
But I have a question.
Tell me.
You just said that Ionian and Aeolian, so were irregular modes, and I often see the question asks how, why in the Baroque tonal system, it's the scale, major scale and minor scales that are predominant, and they come from.
No. I mean, I totally understand your question, and the answer is very funny, because people say that they come from there, but actually the different keys come from all the different tones and modes. This is very far, but the last chapter of the tones and modes level is about from modality to tonality, and we can see that, for example, the primus tonus became D minor, the secundus tonus G minor, the third tonus A minor, the quartus tonus E minor, the quintus tonus C major or sometimes F major, the sextus tonus F major. So at the end, what happened? It's a little wrong to say that in modern terms we have in the tonal system only two modes, because we have only those modes which are flatted, let's say, with the continuous addition of sharps and flats. At the end, they became the same, okay, but it's not correct to say that they they stopped to use all the modes. They are just all the modes, but in a more tonal way, we can say.
Yes.
But
Yes,
all the
but
modes are present.
Why did they go to see to the kind of Ionian mode instead of Dorico first? It's funny because the Ionian mode, if I understand well, it wasn't so used.
But the Ionian mode,
Renaissance.
but for example, so the Ionian, okay, the Ionian is the one which is the major mode. Okay, in terms of
Yes.
the modal system, the Ionian is the 11th mode. But
Yes.
the 11th mode is nothing more than the quintus tonus transposed to cantus figuratus.
Okay.
So the 11th mode corresponds to the quintus tonus.
Okay.
You'll see this in that level. So this thing about modes can seem very complex because it's
Yes.
complex. There are a lot of differences, a lot of nuances, a lot of things to say. But if you understand, if you study each situation clearly, and in that level you have all the analysis of the modes, of the tones, and even on the modern version, I mean in the 18th century with the tonal music of the modes, you understand that there are some modes which correspond to the tones, to some tones. Why? What is the main principle? The main reason of all of this is stated by Camillo Angleria, but it's not the only one. I mean, he said this, but it's one of the big amount of musicians saying this. So, tones and modes, chapter 1. So the question is, are the modes 8 or 12? This is the question. In this point, let's see where it is. No, here, this section. Some have then wanted to invent the existence of 4 additional tones, namely the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, which, however, is not true. Camillo Angleria says. And to prove this, the variety of tones arises from the varieties of diapasons, diapentes, and diatessaron, with no other species existing beyond those already shown above, and therefore it is not possible to form other tones. What he's saying is that the new 4 modes are not introducing any new species of diapente and diatessaron. Yes. So that's why, at the end, the modes are only 8. To demonstrate this, no other intonations are found except those of the 8 tones. However, mixed tones, so toni mixti, are well formed, which partake of both their grave and acute counterparts. So, you know, the tonus mixtus you'll see in chapter 6 when you have both extension in the plagalis and in the authenticus ambitus. Like the first with the second, so they are merged. Okay. And although the most excellent Mr. Claudio Merulo from Correggio is a city, in his book Ricercare Intavolati, placed the 11th and the 12th after the 4th tones, perhaps so out of personal preference. There are not other tones, but rather one from the 5th in the higher register and 6th in the lower register, according to our usage and form formed from the species have already demonstrated that you can also see that after the 11th and 12th it returns to the 7th and the 8th. It's talking about this collection where you can see ricercare of the primus tonus, secundus, 3rd, 4th, 11th, 12th, yes. Septimus, octavus. Why? Because the 11th is the quintus tonus and the 12th is the duodecimus tonus. So the 12th is the sextus tonus. They are the same thing in the practice. But when we talk about Cantus Firmus, we should use the Cantus Firmus terminology. So we do not have the Ionian in Cantus Firmus. We stop at the 8th. When we talked about Cantus Figuratus, we can use the 12 mode system. The main difference of the 12 between the 12 mode system and the 8 tones is that the 12 modes is merely a mathematical division, while in the 8 tones we have a bigger focus on the cadences and on transposition. Here they are just mathematical scales. You know, it's more law. It's something more mathematical. This distinction. But at the end, there's no difference between the quintus and the quintus tonus and the 11th modus.
Okay.
So here we have a cadence to D, the first important cadence with both parts. So it's a complete cadence, clausula tenorizans in the upper voice and the tenor, and clausula cantizans in the bass. Exactly. Now we have another section. Interspinas, illis, sicut rosa interspinas is the first phrase. Illis adit specem. Re, mi, fa, mi, sol, fa, mi, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, sol. And it's very interesting that in order to keep re, mi, fa, in this case, if you want to sing with solmization, would be better to use the so-called ordo bequadro giacente. Why? Because it's re, mi, fa, re, mi, fa, re, so diut, ordo bequadro giacente, re, mi, fa. Now you come back, you exit the ordo bequadro giacente, fa, mi, sol, fa, la, sol, fa, mi, fa. So here is where we can use the ordo bequadro giacente. I'm not saying that if you sing mi, fa, sol, you're wrong. No, you're not wrong. I mean, you're singing it correctly with musica ficta. But to enhance the imitation, you can even use the ordo bequadro giacente with diut. Re, mi, fa, mi, sol, fa, la, sol, fa. Even because, notice this. Re, mi, fa, mi, sol, and so it's correct to say mi, sol in the imitation. Here we have a descending second, here a descending third. So it's very interesting how this imitation takes the same syllables of solmization using the ordo bequadro giacente, but different intervals, especially the connection between the two phases.
Okay.
Re, mi, fa, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Re, mi, fa, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Okay. Here we have a little cadence to fa, mi, fa, tu, ce, sol, fa, ut. It's important that we have a cadence because this text is ending. So it's an evaded cadence because we do not have both clausulae together, resolving together. Yes. We have the clausula cantizans here, but the clausula basizans is not resolving. Why? Because it's starting the new phrase. Sol, mi, sol, re, fa. Then sol, mi, sol, re, fa. So here the editor put this flat because he saw a flat here and he thought he wanted another flat here. Absolutely no. No. Fa, mi, la, sol, fa, la. Otherwise, you know, it's...
Yes, I wondered because there is no.
Do you want to see? Do you want to see one thing that? So this is one of those things you cannot see without solmization. Okay.
Yes.
Now.
There's no fa superla here.
No. It's even something more exciting. So, fa. This is the hexachord on G ut. G ut. Fa, mi, la, sol, fa, la. Fa, mi, la, sol, fa, la. Here we have a third. Here we have a ascending third. Here we have a descending second. But if we stick this flat, we do not have any more the same syllables of solmization. Fa, mi, la, sol, fa, la, fa, mi, la, sol, fa, la. So it's an imitation, but the principle of imitation is based on solmization. If you don't know solmization, here you do not see this imitation. It's impossible, and you will sing the flat according to the editor, who probably didn't know
Yes.
this. But
Okay.
this is the essence of Renaissance music, using these games of solmization with different letters.
Yes. One thing I don't really understand is the use of the fala in the bass. I know that it's because of imitation, but often I see the fa above the melodic line and not under.
Yes.
No.
I tell you why. Because here you can even say fa mi or fa mi. It's the mutation point la mi. So you can even say fa mi la sol fa mi la sol fa mi. Okay. This can even be the fa super la of this re. Fa la la re. That's why I'm changing to la. Here actually wouldn't be necessary to change from fa to la. Why? Because then we have another thing. We are ascending. But if we isolate this, we can see that this way all the steps are can be recognized in solmization. You can say fa mi or fa la here, and even here you can say fa mi or fa la.
Yes.
And notice another thing, that here the phrase is finishing. So a word is finishing. So what comes, what follows can be started even with another letter. Fa mi re. For example, in the bass, you can say fa mi la sol fa mi re la fa mi. So you do the cantus and harmonicus here. It is possible. It makes sense to enhance the imitation.
And on the tenor, we can say mi, fa, mi, la, re.
Yes, exactly. Bravo. Exactly. Bravo. La, re. Even because, and here is another example of maestry. La, re, re, la, re, fa, re, la, fa. This is the inversion on the two different hexachords. La, re, fa, re, la, fa. And then in both voices, mi, fa, sol, mi, fa, sol, mi, fa, sol, the same way. So, la, re, fa and re, la, fa are contrary motion. La, re, fa and re, la, fa, and then mi, fa, sol, the same direction in the two different hexachords, e, mi and be, mi. Clear? No, it's not clear. Ask me.
Sorry. Yes. Mi, yes. And be, mi, yes. Mi, fa, sol. So here we have C hexachord on the tenor and
yes, exactly.
G hexachord on
Siut, Ceut, and Geut. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Then let's continue up to the next cadence, which is here, enim. Next cadence is in this point, enim. So sol, la, fa, then sol, mi, fa, sol, la, fa, la. And this is very beautiful to have the mi contra fa in that position. Sol, la, fa, la, fa, la, fa, fa, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, fa, sol. Sol, fa, mi, sol, sol, fa, mi, sol, re, fa, mi, fa. And here we have the evaded cadence. Why?
Evaded cadence.
Because this way the speech can continue. Now, the presence of a cadence to che sol fa ut here, to the second cadence to che sol fa ut, is an indication of the octavus tonus. Then you study in in chapter 5 of the Cantus Firmus that you study psalm tones. The recite tone of the octavus tonus is Che sol fa ut. Dixit Dominus Domino meo, sed est dextris meis. So Che sol fa ut is very important in the octavus tonus, and only there will have a cadence to D, to the higher D, the D which is more proper of the septimus tonus. Only after the cadence to C. So, cadence to Che sol fa ut, evaded cadence. Now new imitation. Re mi fa ut re mi fa. Here re mi fa ut re mi fa. We can sing with the hexachord on G ut. So G ut. And here we can sing with the other ordo, so with the ordo of bemolle. Re mi fa ut so do re mi. In order to keep the imitation, we say re mi fa ut and then do instead of re mi fa, because here we have di re mi fa. Here we have fa sol la, or yes, we can say fa sol la, because then we are descending. Mi re mi fa do fa sol la sol fa mi fa sol de sol fa mi fa sol, and this is a strong cadence because it's not evaded. I mean, it's not evaded because both voices, they feature the clausula cantizans and the clausula tenorizans. Exactly. Another thing you can analyze here is the diminution in the cadence. This is very idiomatic of Renaissance music. Sol, fa, fa, mi, re, mi, re. Anticipation in this style are not so frequent. It's not something you can find very often, but in these idiomatic cadence, yes, they are very common in the cadences. Pam pam pa pa pam pam.
What's the structural note here?
Yes, so let's analyze the structural counterpoint. So we have this note, this interval, let's use another color, let's use orange, this is a 6.
Yes.
Another thing you can notice here, I'll tell you, when you have two fast note, two 8 note this way, it's okay to be dissonant and consonant. They used to say cattiva and buona. It's normal, so 7, 6, 8, 10, so we have a 10th. Then, yes, I mean 8, la, sol, fa, mi, 3, 5, even if here we have this anticipation, so 5, 6, 7, 6, 8. This is the structure.
Okay.
Okay, then la, sol, la, sol, re, mi, fa. Here, we can use two different systems. We can say sol, la, sol, re, sol, mi, fa, sol, la, fa, or sol, la, sol, mi, fa, sol, la, fa. Or we can use the ordo B4 giacente, fa, sol, fa, re, mi, fa, la, fa, and we exit the ordo B4 giacente here. We are totally sure about this la fa. In this section we can say both system. I mean, we can even stay with sol, because in both cases we have an imitation which is a fifth higher in the other hexachord. Sol, la, sol, mi, fa, sol, la, fa, ut. qui vitalem dat odorem. So what's the meaning of this sharp? Because it's very interesting. The meaning can be something arriving from the word. From the words. Maria progeniem germinavit enim florem, qui vitalem dat odorem. Probably vitalem to give more life to the music, to the melody. It introduces this sharp, this rise, okay, which is rising the interval. I don't know if this is in the intention, but this is an example of a kind of madrigalism in motets, which is very common even in this period. If you check Palestrina Surge, the motet Surge mica mea, so it's not a case, it's Surge, which is rise, an ascending scale.
Yes.
Okay. Then odorem, okay, imitation, do re mi fa sol, do re mi fa sol, fa sol, do fa sol, fa re mi fa re mi fa mi la sol. Here fa sol fa re mi fa sol fa re mi fa re fa, and then re fa mi and re mi fa. You know, just we lack of one step, but re mi fa mi la, and then the final clausula, where we have the clausula cantizens in the bass and the clausula tenorizans in the tenor. Here, 3 3 5 3 2 3 2 3 1 unison, as you can see. So this is a two-part composition with a double counterpoint at the beginning at the 12th, invertible counterpoint at the 12th. We have then a lot of things about so imitations with solmizations. We have this very aspect of musica ficta. We have the ordo be quadro giacente. Now, other thing we can analyze is the how black notes are used. How to do this? Decode all the intervals. We have 5 4 3 2 3 2 1 less 2 no, this less 3,
Yes.
less 3 less 3 less 4 5. So as you can see, consonants distant, consonant distant, consonant distant, consonant distant. This is another element to analyze, to learn, then and to apply in counterpoint. Even here we have these black notes, okay? So consonant, dissonant, consonant, consonant. We can have this consonant, dissonant, consonant, consonant, because we have 6 and 5. 6 and 5 are the only stepwise intervals which are consonant and consonant. Do you know this? I mean, if we write the entire number and possibilities of intervals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
yes, okay.
8. The only, so we have the unison, which is a consonant, dissonant, consonant, dissonant, consonant, consonants, dissonant, and consonants. They are very important to take into consideration in music. That's why the Monte 5/6 can be easily applied. Even descending, it always works.
Okay.
And other things to say. Okay, we analyze the clausule. Sol, sol, fa, fa, mi, re, mi, re. The clausule with the figuration. Sol, fa, fa, mi, re, mi, re. And sol, fa, mi, fa, sol. This ornamentation in the cadence. And
It's the same cadence as Florem above on the tenor. Bass on the bass, sorry. Sol, fa, mi, fa, sol. The last cadence on the bass.
Do you mean
it's
the
the
imitation?
same? Yes. Down on the bass. The same as the tenor cadence on Florem.
here. Yes, yes, we can say that cadences are something very standard in this period.
Yes.
Cadences in Renaissance music are very standard. Okay, and this is a very complete analysis of this bicinium. So, the use of the quattro giacente, and the tonus is the octavus tonus. Because of the cadences, the true cadence to the D of the diapente arrives only at the end. I mean, it's the penultimate cadence, the cadence before the last one. And we have the cadence to D, to do the lower D. Then we have the cadence to we have what's the next cadence? A kind of cadence to C, here even evaded cadence, followed by the next strong cadence, which is to Che sol fa ut, even if evaded, but we have two cadences to Che sol fa ut. So the first one is to the lower C, the other one to the higher C. Fa mi fa. Then the other cadence we have is to the higher D, and the last cadence is to G, Ge sol re ut. So the it's uppercase, the finalis. Plus the consideration about the ambitus of the voices, we are in this octavus tonus, without any doubt.
Yes. Yes.
Clear. Perfect. I mean, do you have other questions about this bicinium?
No, my observation is that a lot of little variations in the imitations. Sometimes the composer imitates, but not exactly with small variations. And I realize that it's a lot to do with solmization and syllabs. So it's very interesting how solmization can help us to understand it.
Yeah, that's totally true. That's really an underestimated tool in today's music education.
Yes.
I mean, it's better for me if they do not teach in a regular school. So they can even continue this way.
Yesterday I had a commentary on a video about a choral, and in the choral I sung with solmization.
Fa, re, fa, mi, fa, la, fa. Wait, what's going on? What are all these strange notes? Look at this. This is how they read notes during the Renaissance and the Baroque period. This is a book of the beginning of the 17th century. Now, tell me, how can you understand and play Renaissance and Baroque music correctly if your way of reading is completely different from what they used? Even worse, how can you compose new music in a stylistically accurate way if you start from a mindset which is diametrically opposed to what all ancient musicians used? Well, you can't. They are two different languages. Imagine instead the freedom of reading correctly every note. Imagine the confidence to know that that passage you wrote works because stylistically correct to the ancient way of thinking music. Think how wonderful it would be to notice all those details and nuances that other musicians miss, simply because they don't know hexachordal solmization. Hexachordal solmization is the system used by musicians of the Renaissance and Baroque periods to read music. It is a system built on a great scale of 20 letters and a hexachord of 6 syllables: ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la. If you love Renaissance and Baroque music, you should know more about that. For this reason, I've prepared for you an ebook where you can discover some details that you can only notice if you know solmization. Get this special gift now. Go to this link, scroll down the page up to the middle and download the free ebook.